A butterfly is cool. In a process completely controlled by hormones, a caterpillar goes through the transformation by literally dissolving its body just to rebuild it into the fluttering majesty that we know as a butterfly. Humans aren't really that much different. We follow a very similar transformation. Our hormones often drive us to completely eliminate our former characters and lead us into a state of completely dissolved goo that we call suffering. If you've ever suffered trauma, the loss of a loved one, or worse, the torture of a prolonged diagnosis like cancer or some sort of ailment that has a low survival rate, well then this episode is for you. Stick with me as we wrap up 2 months of personal development and understand what suffering is, how it affects us, and how we can be cool like a butterfly and just let it go. Lex, take it away. Difficulties and suffering. What is it? And how do they affect us? Well, suffering, it's really a complex mechanism. It's multifaceted, really. When you think about it, it originates from some sort of trauma that we experience in life. And it manifests itself in ourselves into a physical format, like we get a physical or emotional reaction. Even spiritual trauma can literally debilitate us. Or worse, lead us down a path of self-destruction. How does it affect you? Things that trigger suffering or even disparity, it can be things like an illness or an injury, the loss of a loved one, financial hardships. How about discrimination? Some grow up with abuse, others experience natural disasters, maybe even war or violence. It's not just external factors that can trigger this kind of suffering or distress. Things like negative thoughts and beliefs, self-doubts, insecurities, guilt, shame, unrealistic expectations. How about unsolved trauma? These are universal human experiences that we all have at some point in our lives. But remember, this is not a sign of weakness. Since we all have different experiences, we also have different responses to these difficulties. The most important lesson that we can take away is literally to learn how to cope with this suffering in a healthy and in a productive way. That's kind of what professional therapists are all about. They help us first understand the root of these sufferings, and then secondly, develop healthy mechanisms to cope with them. And that's really the point. Developing healthy coping mechanisms for suffering and challenges. At the end of the day, that's what all of these episodes are about. Really, it's really what our purpose in life is how do we overcome them and get to a better place in our life? Be free of the trauma that we develop as kids. So what's the reality? One of the best books on suffering opens with the line, "Life is difficult." This is a great truth, one of the greatest truths. Now that sentence alone is written by M. Scott Peck. And yes, life is difficult, but it does not have to be about suffering. True, suffering is not a choice in a sense that we just can't avoid it. People die. Suffering is a part of some of this life that we live. But consider that line, life is difficult, it kind of sets the stage for the rest of the work that we've got to put in life. We can't escape the difficulties, but we can embrace how we respond to them. See, we're responsible for our own lives, and we shouldn't be blaming others for our circumstances or for our problems, because we can choose our reaction to how to get out of them. When we blame others, it's almost a form of deception, manipulation, or even lying, because we're lying to ourselves. By taking responsibility and being accountable to ourselves, yeah, it means we have to take the initiative. Yes, we have to take action, but we can take our time with it and find a way to get out of it. Just as long as it's not too much time that we develop this habit. We must be honest with ourselves, especially with our weaknesses and shortcomings, because by having this kind of awareness, it gives us room for personal growth. Now consider, love is really all about action. It's not just a passive emotion. This is an active choice that we do and we make for ourselves, as well as for others. Because when we act in a sense of love, well, we force the negative emotions out, and we can show this by how we solve our problems. In order to do this, we must be willing to take risks. We must be willing to kind of face the discomfort of growth. Personal growth is definitely not easy or comfortable, but it's absolutely worth the effort. So how can we grow? Well, let's consider that problems are opportunities, and these opportunities can help us grow. In order to do so, you kind of have to establish a sense of self-discipline. Self-discipline simply requires for us to learn how to delay gratification, making choices to help us reach our goals. Now, these choices are allowing us to take responsibility. And when we make these choices in a positive way, it develops healthy coping mechanisms for us to grow from. Let's expand a little further on this point of problems as opportunities, and let's identify 5 ways that we can take action in this arena. Number 1, identify your goals. When we acknowledge the suffering, we can now ask the question, how do we want to tackle it? What do we want to achieve in life? Once we know what we want, we can then reverse engineer a plan to achieve it. Number 2, set realistic goals. Don't try and do too much too soon. Allow these feelings to exist, but don't let them cripple you. Set small, achievable goals that you can build over time. And number 3, make a plan. Once you've got your goals, get that strategy in place. Find a way to achieve them. Break down those goals into smaller steps and create a timeline to get them executed. It's important to start small and pick an area that you really want to focus on and then grow from there. Seek support from others in this area. Sometimes your friends, a family member, even a professional therapist can help. Also, include healthy ways to deal with stress and anxiety. And that includes exercise, because those endorphins do nothing but good things for us. And finally, make a list of gratitudes. Find the things that you are most grateful for in your life and focus on those things, especially when you feel those negative emotions and the anxiety settle in. Number 4, once you've got this plan of attack, take action. Don't just sit around and think that this is something that you can fabricate or manifest. Action is the key component in this in order to work towards those goals. And when you do it, you might fall down. So be persistent. That's number 5. We're going to experience setbacks and challenges, but don't give up, even when it's tough. Because by being tough and being consistent, you establish and develop grit. And you realize how easy it is to conquer these things over time. Once you've worked through the 5 steps, reward yourself, because every single step along the way is an achievement. And that pattern of behavior is the pattern that you want to now establish. This reward system will help you stay on track and also contribute to being motivated consistently. We need to find our own unique path in life, and tools like this can help us find a healthy way to deal with suffering. Faith and spirituality is another tool that helps us in this role of growth and development. It can also help us find meaning and purpose. Psalms 34:18 tells us that God is with the brokenhearted and those who are crushed in spirit. It reminds us that God knows our pain. He cares about us, and He's close to those who are suffering, and He wants to help. This might not be His original plan, but He definitely wants to help. And He's looking for our personal good. So allow Him the opportunity to use your suffering as a means of growth. The power of God is unlimited, especially in His creation, like butterflies. And you. We can be cool like a butterfly by developing self-discipline and turning our problems into opportunities. Imagine achieving your goals. Imagine living a healthier and happier life. Imagine overcoming traumas that debilitate us now. It's important to seek out those friendships, those partnerships, those therapeutic sessions with professionals if we need it. But by working together, we can all heal and we can all thrive and be like a butterfly and just let it go. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jared Uraine with the Uraine Ordonez 5 Diamond Group here at Vice Realty, and this wraps up 2 months of personal development sessions that I've been really passionate about and being able to elaborate further and share with not just my team as well as our clients for people who are dealing with various different challenges like this. Now, what does this have to do with real estate? Well, sometimes our sufferings and traumas affect our ability to purchase a home. It prevents us from being able to think bigger and out of the box in realizing the dream of home ownership. And if we can solve these problems in our community, well, then these are solutions that can help build better communities. That's my belief. I strongly feel that home ownership is when people own their community, we have better and stronger neighborhoods, and that creates a better environment for all of us. That's a belief I believe in, and that's why I'm putting these videos out. Stay tuned with me for next month's new series as we go on a new journey in the rest of this year. If you did like this episode, please hit the like button and, of course, share it with others if you feel appropriate. My name is Jared with the Uraine Ordonez 5 Diamond Group here at Vice Realty. This is episode 28 of the Move It podcast. Be cool like a butterfly.